Hello there, it's Paul here and welcome everyone. This video is another decorations and it's little sort of fairy lights for the tree. I'm turning these tree ornaments, which are just like a little like fairy light, and all I've done so far, I've shaped them, coloured them and given these some sanding sealer. This I suppose is a good example of using what tools and, more importantly for me, what materials you've got available. So I'll just show a picture on the screen of the piece of oak that this started from. And as you can see, it has big splits through it. I have just run it through the bandsaw and just come up with a lot of these sort of like 25-30mm square blanks, and several of them still have a lot of cracks. The idea here is that I reckon I can just get 2 of these quite easily out of a piece like this. 3 might be a bit of a push. So I'm just going to first of all partially true up the whole thing. I want to true up this end more than anything, and because it's got the split, and you can see there's a small split there as well going there, I can then just hold that in my chuck. These are very simple to do, and because of the length of this, I've just got the live centre up there just to give it a little bit of support while I get this first one shaped. And I may then have to do that for the second one. If I do a third one, I can then drop the tailstock. All of these I'm doing roughly around about the same size, so it's just over 30mm, and I'll just put a couple of marks on there so I can just see where they are. So that will be the actual main body of the bulb, and the thread bit will then come out at the end here. So just looking to turn these down. So that's the shape. I can then just sand this down, going through the grits, and just sand off that point so that it's not too sharp on the bottom there. And because they're so small, just tend to leave the lathe speed at the same speed. And what I need to do now, before I do the colouring, I need to just protect this top bit here. So I'm just using a bit of masking tape, and it's quite essential that you get a nice sharp edge, so it's good to use a pair of scissors. Doesn't need to be very thick. I've got that nice sharp edge on there from the scissors. The other thing you also need to consider as well, because I'm going to put the colour on when the lathe's spinning this way, so I really need to wrap it round that way as well. So if I start off there, and the reason for that is that if you catch the end when it's done up, what you're going to find, as I found from experience, is that the cloth is going to unwind it all, and you're going to end up getting it all on your threads. I'm using the Chestnut Spirit stains. So far I've done several in red and blue, so this one I'm going to do green. Just using a little piece of kitchen towel. I mean, it doesn't even need to be that big, just needs to be big enough to go over the bottle lid so that you can put the colour on. Turn the lathe on at a low speed and just basically keep going over it until it's as dark as you want. The colour will dry as you go along, which means as you then go over it again, it just keeps hopefully intensifying the colour a little bit. So hopefully you can just see where the green gets into the grain. It's a lot darker, and that's what happens if you've got tool marks or sanding marks still left on the piece. So once that has dried, I can then just give it a coat of the sanding sealer. Again, important to probably use the spray, because then it means that I'm not actually going to get any of the colours run. So just literally give it a spray so you can see the whole piece is got a coating. Then I'll leave that now to dry, spinning on the lathe like this. This will take probably 4 or 5 minutes. Just going to knock this back with an eye web. Just have to be careful. These little bits, loose bits, will catch anything rough and sometimes yank this out of your hands. So just be careful and ready to let go if it does grab. I can then just part this off. I prefer to use the skew. You just get a lot cleaner cut on the top. Still not perfect, but it's better than using the parting tool. And what I'll do then is I will just sand those tops off. I've made 16 of these in the end, and all very similar, but obviously hand turned they are slightly different. All the tops have actually just been sanded off to get rid of that nub. And for eye hook wise this time, I'm using one that's actually slightly bigger than what I'd used for the crackers, and the main reason for that is that all of these are oak, so they're going to be pretty hard. So ideally I need to probably drill a hole in there to put the eye hook in, rather than trying to push it, screw it in, because it's likely that the eye hook will snap. And the way I'm going to do this is I'm just going to use a live centre because it's got a good point, just to mark a pilot hole. And I'm just using I think it's a 1mm drill bit, smallest one I've got. Just to drill a hole in there, and I will use the pliers again because I'll try it without the pliers first, since these are slightly bigger. And that's actually screwed in there quite nicely, quite easy by hand. Going to finish these off the same way as I did the crackers, just with a spray lacquer, and I'll just hang these with a small piece of wire as a hook that I made a long time ago, and they'll be hung from a wire where I can then rotate these around rather than have to try and move around to spray them. hung on a line so that it can then dry. All in all, I've made 16 of these little sort of tree lights. So there's 4 red, 4 green, 4 orange and 4 blue. And looking back at the colours, I think if I did the blue, I'd have gone for probably the lighter blue. They are a little bit dull. So most Christmas trees tend to, even with the lights on, still tend to have quite a lot of dark areas where the ornaments sit. So ideally you want probably brighter colours, but these are, I mean, turning wise, these are so quick and easy to turn. Use whatever tools you like. Skew is absolutely ideal for these, quite easy. It's a little bit more complicated than when you use the skew, say on the previous project with the crackers, because you're then now having to start doing the curves, and the gentle curves like this aren't so bad with the skew, but it's when you do these tighter curves at the top here that it comes a little bit harder, and you're certainly open to mortar catches. So this is another example of just keeping all those little scraps of wood. You can see the size of these. You don't need a big piece of wood to create them, but hopefully it's giving you an idea. I mean, I love these little things. This is probably one of my favourite decorations to actually turn. I think they can be so colourful, so basic and so easy that I think something that every tree should have. So thanks a lot for watching.